we would study all these records, like what records will be funny. Oh yeah, yeah, let's do Roaches for Rumors, or like okay, we made fun of LL Cool J and the New York rappers. We did New York Rapper, then we did LA Rapper. So we did all of these things. And what was the one? Cubic Zirconia Girl from Diamond Girl. Yeah, and and Egyptian Lover, we made fun of him. We did and said I like the girls. We said I like the sheep. So we would just make fun of people in their records.
Well, I like Big Butt playing off Big Mouth too.
Yeah, Big Butt. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know they're parody records, but did any of the artists ever get offended or mad when you would see them?
Nah, everybody was cool, man. They liked it, because they knew we weren't mischievous about it. We wasn't trying to do nothing bad or disrespect anybody. It was just kind of like Weird Al, same thing, just fun, fun ass music.
Okay. And then as this was going on, and I guess Ruthless, Eazy, N.W.A, all that stuff, and Dre were going on, and then you started getting with JJ Fad. How did you find you were able to balance doing the Bobby Jimmy stuff with Arabian Prince stuff with Ruthless? How did that work?
Yeah, I've always been that kid, man. When I was young, I was like my cousins to this day. I'm fucking old as hell now. My cousins to this day still call me the same nickname. They call me Histomal. Like, oh, because I did a lot of different things. Matter of fact, I think I did too much stuff at one time. And I've always had that in my head, like the mad scientist. I can't just focus in on one thing. I've got to have my hands in a lot of things. So for me, working on all of that stuff at the same time was easy. I did stuff even for the Dream Team, when they was working on their projects. I was the one that people call in the studio like, hey, how you work that sequencer? How you work that drum machine? How you work that synthesizer? How you do this? And then I would just end up doing it and just being a part of that product of that process. So yeah, man, for me, it was just easy to do my stuff, the stuff for JJ Fad and N.W.A and Bobby Jimmy and the Critter at the same time, because that's what I love doing.
Okay. And with the Back and Proud album that then came out in '87, the Milkshake song with you and Dre, at this point, how did it end up to where you and Dre were producing this song together?
Well, like I said, me and Dre have always done a bunch of stuff together. A lot of stuff that we've done never came out. Like I got cassettes somewhere of just me and Dre doing stuff together. We had got a hold of what did we buy? The Emulator 2 keyboard. That was back, like these young cats now. I sound like the old dude. Remember the old man, the father would tell his son, when I went to school, we had to walk uphill both ways.
Yeah.
So I'm that old producer DJ cat now that complains like, when I was young, we only had 0.7 seconds of sampling time. Like try to make an album with like you only have not even 1 second of sampling time, dude. I had a huge keyboard called an Emulator 2 that weighed probably 100 pounds, and it had a total of, I think it was either 7 or 11 seconds total sampling time on the whole keyboard, and you could only have maybe 1.2 second per sample. So you know what I mean? So you had to like really short things you could do. That's why you had a lot of orchestra hits in the old school cuts, because that's all you could do, is sample an orchestra hit. So anyway, me and Dre used to play with that all the time, and that's how we made Milkshake, just messing around with that. And he just happened to be in the studio when we were doing it.
Okay. And like with the creative energy, because you were collaborating with so many people and having different roles, whether you're doing it yourself, working with Dre, working with Russ Parr, different things, how did you, on the personality side, see the differences of the Russ Parrs versus the Dr. Dre's, of how to work with them and get the best out of them and them getting the best out of you?
Yeah. Well, I've always been this cat that, I never tried to make people do my type of music, and I think if you listen to my history of stuff I've produced, it sounds different depending on who I'm working with. I kind of look at what that artist has and what he is. There was no way in hell we could do nothing hardcore for Russ Parr, because he was pretty much comedy, right? And even the stuff that we did was close to being hardcore. It was just kind of made for fun. And then me and Dre, we just worked well together. It's like we knew exactly what we liked, and we had similar tastes and styles. So yeah, man, it was like a family affair. Like everybody I worked with, for me, it was all a family affair.
Okay. And then when you started doing like the Panic Zone records and some of the Dance 2 records, what, because I always think it's interesting looking back, like the N.W.A and the Posse, even though I know that wasn't made as an album, but the photo shows uh, the pre-fame stuff because nobody's wearing all black really,
Right.
and all that stuff. And then later with Eazy-Duz-It and then Straight Outta Compton, of course, now we got guns and all black and different things. But what did you see making Panic Zone compared to what you saw or heard or witnessed what was going on with Boys in the Hood? Was the studio vibe different? Was it all the same? Like, how would you compare that?
It was all the same. You know what I mean? Like I said, I always clarify the reason we did Panic Zone and the reason we did Something to Dance To was for the simple fact that we knew we wouldn't get radio play. Because if you really think about it, that was at the beginning of gangster rap. Not many people were doing hardcore radio, or hardcore music at all, except for like us. You had Too Short, you had Ice-T. It wasn't really nobody doing that. Just crazy. What is that? You know what I mean? Like hardcore like that. So we knew we couldn't get radio play, and because of the background that me and Dre came from, him from the Wrecking Crew, and me doing the electro funk music myself, we knew that if we dropped that first, people would, oh, they got something coming, and they would just go get the rest and hear it. But eventually the radio started playing it because we said we were never going to censor our stuff. We weren't going to make radio versions of anything. And I think even on Eazy's album, Eazy has radio. That was the one radio joint for that one, and you always had these one. I think Eazy-Duz-It was a radio, I think.
Well, he had We Want Easy. He had
Yeah.
Easier Said Than Done. He
Right.
had about
There were radio cuts just to let people know that there was something out. Now go get the rest and hear the real stuff.
yeah, because on another note that I always think is ironic in retrospect was with Panic Zone, how you're saying, or you guys are saying, like Arabian Prince from Inglewood, he's in a Panic Zone. LA's from Ice Cube, and you broke down where everybody was from,
right?
Which I always thought was ironic and hilarious later when N.W.A was dissing Cube not being from Compton or whatever. But I'm like, originally it was all cool. Everybody was from a different part of LA, I guess.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I'm from Compton, but when I got older, I moved to Inglewood. So when I was in N.W.A, I had just moved to Inglewood because that's where I was going to school. I ended up going to school, by the beach, but that's why we just said that and just worked out. So yeah, we didn't even think about it at the time. So
yeah, it's hilarious when you see some of these different things back.
yeah,
the way that,
something later. Yeah,
the way they're perceived versus the reality of them.
right.
Is pretty dramatic. But on the business side of things, in addition to the radio, you've told me, Yella's told me, even Dre to a degree, and Cube had told me that making those records not only was good for the radio, but that was also just part of what N.W.A was going to be, this a little more quote unquote well-rounded than the gangster rap that it ended up dominating by.
Yeah.
So creatively, when Eazy was there, like did he feel equal about the harder stuff and the electro funk stuff, or what was his take on it?
He liked it earlier. I mean, I know that now a lot of people go back and be like, oh, we didn't like that shit, but Eazy used to have like a dance to it on stage. He used to come out and dance on stage to it. So I mean, we understood what it was. It's business, but you're trying to make money, and when you're trying to make money, you look at what the sound was at the time, and then what it turned out to be. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody, like, why'd y'all do that? Like, well, that was the sound. That's what was hot, and we were transitioning into a unknown new territory. And if you look at even every group on their seminal albums, the original stuff that they did, everybody kind of transitioned into something else once they kind of got their footing and got going.
Okay. And for you, writing wise, on the lyrical writing, not music writing, but lyrically, as you started seeing the harder stuff and then moving into your solo career post N.W.A, how do you feel you yourself were changing and evolving as a writer from the mid 80s then to the late 80s, early 90s?
Yeah, I just knew, I had to do a little bit of both, right? I was really focusing on being a producer, and I've always been this cat that really didn't care about the fame. I made records and did that because I loved it. I wasn't really like, hey, I want to be a superstar. I just like performing and like making people party. So that was my whole thing. So when I left N.W.A, I had a choice that when I got my deal at Capital EMI, I could have just done a whole hardcore album, but I was looking at them like, that's not me. I never really was that anyway, right? Um, I just wanted to make party music. So my stuff was kind of like this hip hop hybrid of party. When you heard like, She Got a Big Posse or some other joints, it was just kind of like this hybrid. It was like, it was street, it was hood, but it was party. It wasn't like that. And then the next album I was going to do with Capital EMI was called The Underworld. It was going a little more dark, right? It was story driven, and it was too harsh for Capital EMI. They didn't want to mess with that one, so they didn't put that one out.
What was it about it?
It was just a little more hardcore. It wasn't going back to N.W.A, but it was a story about somebody stealing our bitches. It was funny as hell though. They was like, I don't know if we can put this out. But then I ended up doing on my the Underworld, no, not the Underworld, that's the one that didn't get put out. But when I did what's the album after that I did on my independent label was damn.
The All My Bitches one?
Yeah. Where's My Bitches, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I did all that. That was kind of like a broken down version of the Underworld. We just took some of the Underworld stuff, put some other stuff together, and put it out independently because they gave me all the rights back.
Not bad. Well, that worked out.
No, dude, you know why it worked out? And I'm gonna tell you this. It worked out because, and I say this to all these up and coming rappers, one thing I didn't realize until I ended up being independent again, like we started independent, and then when you get on major labels, you forget how much money you actually made as an independent. You struggled a little more because you had to like spend money to make money, but you felt, you got that sense of comfort when you got, or somebody else is spending a ton of money on you and you just getting checks. Like, damn, that's cool. I ain't had to do nothing. I'm getting checks, but the checks were smaller. When I got back independent and they gave me the rights back and I sold like 100,000 records and I got $1 million, I was like, what happened? Like, if I sold 100,000 records on a major, I'm gonna get dropped. But if I sell 100,000 independent, I'm gonna get $1 million. I like this, and I never went back to a major.
Makes sense.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Okay, well there it is. Well, Arabian Prince, man, we appreciate you coming back, and we'll get you back again here on Unique Access Entertainment. And appreciate your support and everything you do for us. And thank you, man.
I appreciate you, man, and stay away from them zombies.
Be sure to check out The History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with N.W.A.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the street. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.